Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Stacy DeRosiers, Channel Marketing Manager with Corey, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Our speakers today are Keith Norby, VP of Sales at Nexus Information Systems, and Rob Stretche, VP of Strategic Accounts for Corey. As virtualization technology matures and more mission-critical applications are virtualized, business application owners are becoming increasingly concerned about assuring continuous performance and planning for the future capacity demands. IT operations must adapt to the new management challenges of a dynamic, virtualized environment in order to build the confidence required to virtualize the highest priority production applications. During today's presentation, our presenters will provide us with the answer to how you can achieve this level of confidence and optimize your environments. Before we begin, I want to remind you that the presentation will be in listen-only mode. This webinar is being recorded, and we will email you instructions later this week on how to view the recorded webinar. We will be accepting questions during the presentation. Please type your questions in the Q&A box on the lower right-hand side of the WebEx screen, and we will answer as many questions as we have for at the end. We expect today's session to run about 1 hour, including Q&A. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Keith.
Thanks, Stacy. Well, Nexus is an organization out of Minneapolis that has been around for a number of years, in this case 23 years. We're a privately held company, $30 million in revenue, have a new headquarters in Minnetonka that's over 31,000 square feet, where we host all kinds of resources and things to really help people in this virtualization evolution. And we've got tons of employees to help us with that. We have a network operations center, mobile POC on wheels, hot spare cage for hot sparing of hardware needed for essential restarts of business, and all kinds of things related with virtualization, including obviously the new wave of virtual desktops as well. Our offering is fairly broad on architecture. We are an architecture and infrastructure company. We have lots of what we would call Nexus Essential services that are based on both managed and implementation style services and assessments, as well as virtualization, or also known as the private cloud stack of offerings that touch everything from our specialization in storage to some really new school alternatives in networking with Juniper, to the virtual server realm, obviously, and kind of the deep tradition that we have in virtual desktops that now goes back multiple years with the latest version of VMware, as well as Citrix and others. And to complement all this, then we have the ability to procure any odds and end pieces, as well as licensing, and manage all the maintenance rules that it gets to be kind of a mess for people. All this is designed to give you guys easy buttons, focused around ways that you can extend your infrastructure in a kind of a shared services model going forward. The foundation of that entire thing is based off of this Nexus Essential service suite that is both data center focused and administrative focused. They have a range of services from things like NextDR, which will be hosted disaster recovery services, to NextProtect, to NextSupport, even all the way down to us monitoring your print environments and IP devices. Segueing into Corey, what I'll tell you in my handoff back to you, Rob, is that Corey's been a technology that we've been with now for years, and we've seen the impact that Corey has, and we've personally utilized in several accounts. The interesting thing is, people are always sort of guilty until proven innocent in a virtual infrastructure. And I'll tell you firsthand that I've seen customers' impacts by being able to utilize the software, the tools that Corey has as their technology, to be able to, realize in a virtual environment that's very fluid and constantly changing as to the realms of information you need to get to be able to both make decisions, do some root cause analysis, and all the things that Rob will tell you about. And all I can tell you is that it's one of the few technologies I can really say has a wow factor. So take a look, and Rob, I'll let you guide me through the Corey stuff.
Thanks, Keith. I want to thank you for having me on with the Nexus team today, and I think that as we go through this, we'll kind of talk about how, Nexus's solutions actually fit to right where Corey is thinking about virtualization today and where it's going in the future. And I think you can see by the broad set of services that Nexus offers, really what we try to tie into is helping support a lot of those services that are offered around the virtualization and storage practices over at Nexus. So as we go through this, I'll kind of tie that back in and show you that really, there's been an evolution in virtualization. Virtualization is really not, new. I think we all, can remember back to the mainframe days and say, hey, this is kind of where things started with mainframes, large virtualized systems with storage, as being part of the system. What we found is really virtualization this time around with these open systems virtualizations platform, primarily around the VMware platform. Most people have gone through stage one, which is really get the low-hanging fruit out there, do some actual consolidation, and really work on the pains of disaster recovery and migration and consolidation. Also get your hardware platforms under control, get your heat and cooling, start to green up your data centers, things of that nature. Really in that stage one, it was simple enough to have the element manager that kind of came along with VMware, which is Virtual Center, that you really could realize, you were managing maybe 2 ESX servers and, maybe a handful to a couple handfuls of guests. But once it got out of that, 10 to 20 to 1 range, and you started getting, tens of VMs, tens of ESX servers, and upwards of hundreds of guests, then you're looking at, moving into stage 2, which was what we call kind of the production stage. And in this production stage, what we were looking at is the fact that heavier weight applications started to move over, document management, SharePoint in particular, Citrix, being able to now virtualize that Citrix farm and bring up more capacity for your VDI environment or your outside integration and your app presentation layers. Also, some of the emails started to move over, maybe parts of Exchange, maybe parts of different pieces. So looking at it and saying, okay, these different parts can be now virtualized and put on there. The pain was really, no visibility, complex. You end up with VM sprawl because now instead of 3 weeks, it takes 30 minutes to deploy another server. I think, again, looking at what Nexus offers and some of the things that they can help with and some of the reasons they have chosen us as a vendor that they provide out is really helping understand what is that complexity, what is that sprawl doing to your infrastructure, and helping you rationalize that so you get a better understanding of what are your management requirements now, from a visibility, a control across all those servers and storage, both physical and virtual. And then really taking that performance management look at it and understanding, okay, this is how much gas is left in the tank, because that's become near impossible in this production understanding. And for really to get into what they're calling, stage 3 mission critical, getting, Exchange fully deployed on, say, VMware, or as Hyper-V becomes more real over the course of the year, deploying on Hyper-V, and looking at, CRM systems, be it, Silverlight or one of the others, Siebel, or some of the bigger ERP systems such as SAP are now virtual first applications. Not to mention some of the EMR and other applications in the healthcare industry have become virtual first. Looking at it, the pain, can be very complex, can be very, direct in the fact that you have multiple hypervisors potentially, you have virtualization layers at multiple points, both on the server side and maybe even in your storage side, and really you need to look to automate some things. So really looking out at stage 3, about 10% of our customers are really in this mission critical stage 3. The bulk, maybe 65% of our customers are in stage 2, and then we still have another set of 25% or so are in that stage 1, moving to stage 2. So when you look at it, the breakdown, most of our stage 2 are looking for ways to grapple with the management requirements and to avoid the pain that is, potential for